Hey everyone, welcome back. So many of you have been asking for this one, and we are finally here.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
We're diving deep into the art of war.
By Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu. And to help us unpack all this ancient wisdom, we're using this awesome podcast episode called Lessons from the Art of War.
From the podcast Strategies for Success.
Strategies for Success, yeah. So get ready, because we're about to see how these battle strategies can actually help you with like everyday stuff.
Oh yeah, from crushing it at work to just like figuring out life.
Totally. You know, the podcast really got me thinking about how Sun Tzu emphasized knowing yourself and knowing your enemy.
Right, and it's not just about knowing, like, your strengths and weaknesses is way bigger than that.
Yeah, it's like understanding the whole situation, right? The entire landscape.
Exactly. It's like, okay, what's the playing field? What are the obstacles? You know?
Totally.
Like, imagine you have to give a big presentation.
Ooh, yeah.
So think about it. Your enemies in that situation could be your nerves.
For sure.
Or, like, tech problems.
Ugh, the worst.
Or even someone in the audience who's, like, not buying what you're selling.
Yeah, that one skeptical person in the room, it's like you can feel their doubt.
Yeah.
It's crazy how relatable Sun Tzu is, even after all this time. And, you know, the podcast made this really interesting point about how the best victory is the one you don't even have to fight for.
Right, winning without fighting.
So I'm curious, have you seen that happen in real life? Like, how does that actually play out?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Like that performance review we were talking about earlier. So let's say you're going into that review and you already know what your manager might be concerned about and you've got all the data, all the proof to back up what you've accomplished.
Oh, so you're prepared.
Exactly. You are prepared and you're basically winning without even, having a fight.
You've already addressed their concerns before they even bring them up.
Exactly. You're being strategic.
That is so smart. It's not about being passive. It's about, like you said, being strategic.
Right.
But what happens when things don't go to plan? I mean, life is full of curveballs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that's where being adaptable comes in.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu talked about that a lot, right?
Oh, big time. And remember that quote from the podcast? Rigid plans lead to failure.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, think about it. Everything's changing so fast these days.
It's like everything's in hyperspeed.
Technology's changing, trends are changing, our own priorities change like all the time.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like you can't keep up.
Exactly. And to thrive in all that chaos, we need to be like adaptable, like water.
Flowing around obstacles.
Yes.
You got it. And the podcast had that other quote that I loved. It was, in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. But how do we actually live that out? Like, how do we do that?
It's about being flexible, being able to like shift and pivot when you need to. Think about Sun Tzu's empty fortress strategy.
But what?
The empty fortress strategy. It's where you make yourself look vulnerable to trick your opponent, like you lure them into a trap.
Oh, wow. That's sneaky.
And you see this in business all the time. Oh, yeah. Like a company might leak information about like a weakness they have to mislead their competitors.
Whoa. That's like next level strategy.
It is. And in your own life, it could be like, something feels like a setback, but you use it to go in a different direction.
You turn it into a positive. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that, but it's true. You can totally turn what feels like a negative into a strategic advantage.
100%.
Okay, so we've talked about knowing yourself, knowing your enemy, and winning without fighting and being adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
What about Sun Tzu's advice on planning for the unexpected? I mean, isn't that kind of obvious?
Yeah, you'd think so, right? But the podcast host made a really interesting point.
What was that?
They said it's not just about planning for stuff you know is going to happen.
So it's more than that.
Yeah, it's about asking what if? Like, what if my flight gets delayed?
Oh, yeah.
What if that client suddenly changes their mind at the last minute?
That's happened to me.
It happens. Having a backup plan or even like 2 backup plans helps you stay in control even when things get crazy.
So it's about being proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly. It's about thinking things through, having those backup plans, and not just like freaking out when something unexpected pops up.
I like that. Being thoughtful, not reactive.
And that brings us back to the main point of the art of war.
Okay, what's that?
It's not just about winning no matter what. It's about approaching every goal, every challenge with like a strategic mindset.
Whether it's at work or in your personal life.
Exactly. It's about being prepared, being flexible, and always thinking a few steps ahead.
So good. And here's something for all of you listening to think about. Sun Tzu's wisdom encourages us to see life from this, like strategist's point of view. So how can you use these ideas in your own life? Like, what are your battles, big or small, and how can you approach them strategically?
It's all about shifting your perspective. Every challenge, every obstacle, it's a chance to strategize, to adapt, and ultimately to reach your goals.
I love that. That's such a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
Such a good note to end on. We would love to hear your thoughts on this deep dive. Hit us up on social media. And until next time, stay curious, everyone.